lived in Rochester for a while after you graduated.
Yeah, Rochester's a great town.
Yeah.
I really, really like Rochester. Yeah, we lived there for 5, 6 years after I graduated.
Cool.
Started my first business in Kodak Park. Went and took over at the time what the largest biodiesel company in the Northeast was in Rochester, and they were having trouble. And I went in and kind of took it over because my business was a biodiesel company. It was just me. I was using Kodak's infrastructure and everything, and
Cool.
ended up doing really well. And so I went and took over their business because they were having a hard time with sales, and we did really well. It was shocking little business.
Yeah.
That, I mean, flush is cash. I mean, it's unbelievable how much money the fuel industry does.
Oh, I believe it.
Yeah. Learned a lot of good lessons there.
It's funny that Rochester being an hour and a half away, I've spent like almost, I've been there. I worked for a med device company, Stryker, out of college. And so we covered, a lot of the hospitals, but outside of like going to the hospital, I never like visited anyone in college there. I never been to Park Ave, or downtown. I've just spent like no social time there. So people are always like, oh, it's a great town. I'm like, man, I feel like I've just, I've been to Buffalo a bunch. I've been to Albany. I went to school there before.
Yeah.
I've spent time in plenty of cities and Northeast cities, just not much in Rochester.
A lot of money there.
Yeah, especially the suburbs.
A lot of dough. Yeah. The money makes Rochester, I think, it's a sleeper town.
Yeah.
When I was in college, Buffalo kind of sucked.
Yeah.
Now Buffalo's awesome.
Buffalo's cool.
Buffalo's really nice. But like Rochester is really, really nice town. Good place to live. The lake is right there. You kind of don't even think of the lake as part of the city, but like they've incorporated parts of Irondequoit Bay and the lake into the city. The river runs right through the middle like it should here.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I can't even picture. I've been to like Genesee Brewery.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I remember one time I stopped at a lunch. Yeah. So and that was sweet. I mean, this was, 10, 12 years ago. But so you're working with biodiesel fuel company, or, you help take over. It seemed like you're on a pretty good path.
Mm-hmm.
What brought you to Syracuse? What made you pivot?
Yeah. Mom got sick, stage 4 cancer. I'm an only child. So moved back 2012. We moved back to Syracuse, really to assist her, just had a baby. And then, so I told the people that I was partnered with out there, I was a very small portion of equity there, told them I was leaving and they didn't believe me. And then I left 30 days later and they went out of business. I ended up going back and buying the assets back like almost a year later, which was kind of cool.
They didn't believe you?
No, they're like, oh, you're not going to leave.
Yeah.
Yes. I was commuting from Rochester to Syracuse every single day. I would go to work, I would stay there, and then I would come home and like be with my mom.
Yeah.
Every single day. I had a new truck. I put like 80,000 miles on the thing in like 4 months. It was wild. But
so you left, they closed, you bought the assets to continue.
Yeah, I turned it into a fuel transload terminal. Okay. Probably the best business I've ever been in.
Really?
I had 2 people and the thing it made a ridiculous amount. It financed all of the cannabis stuff that I do now.
Wow. Yeah. Is it still running?
The transload terminal, I sold it. So
part of the reason
I have no idea. That was almost 15 years ago now, right? So, or 12 years ago now. Yeah.
What made you want to make a change? Especially towards
cannabis? So I really
I would say, how did you see the map? Because this was what, 2015?
Yeah, it would have been 2012.
2012. I mean, it wasn't really known that it was going to become legal. No. I mean, you assumed it was, but there was no like, hey, at this date, it'll, especially recreationally, but even medically, I don't remember the timeline specifically, but I don't think it would. That's pretty early.
2014, they started talking about the bill. To get medical. At that time, after I got back here, I just helped my dad with our family business, which was J. Michael Shoes. Yeah. Okay.
So, I saw that pop up when I was researching it. I was like, I wonder if it's really the same name. I got to assume.
I am J. Michael. Yeah, that was cool. Pretty cool growing up with that one. I think a lot of my friends that went to SU used that to their advantage.
Yeah.
Back in the 2000s. Now I helped my dad there for a few years. One morning, my dad walks in with the paper and he goes, "Look, my mother passed away." He's like, "Look, we could have given Mom a joint and she would have been fine." We kind of joked about it because it was in the paper.
Yeah.
And so I read it and I was like, this is wild. Why are we not giving people with stage 4 cancer access to not just that, but whatever the hell they want? It's a death sentence.
Whatever they need. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So it's like, why would we not give people a better quality of life? And so I was like, I'm going to start a company and I'm going to do this and go get one of the medical licenses. And sure enough, we were 6th. And so we ended up getting our medical license. Ultimately, we took that company, ended up going public, and is now called Acreage Holdings.
So that's just you and your dad?
Nope. So that was just me, and actually my partner in that was Dennis Duval.
Okay.
You remember Dennis?
Dennis recognize the name.
Played at SU, played in the NBA, just had his jersey retired a few years ago.
Okay, yeah.
He was the...
Sorry, I'm thinking like Cam.
Yeah, he was the first black chief of police of a major city in New York.
Okay.
Good dude. I still talk to him all the time. So.
And you just saw an opportunity. You saw like, hey, this is going to become legal. Were you, did you jump on it right away with the lucky timing?
Well, I was like, we got to do that. I got to figure out a way to get into this. And so I put together the plan, the business plan, did a lot of the work, ended up meeting Dennis through another friend. And he and I kind of hit it off. He wasn't into it at first. He was like, I don't know, and I was like,
uncertainty with that.
And I was like, look, we need law enforcement to sort of support this thing. And I think you being a part of it would be huge. And ultimately he and I got to know each other well enough that he decided to do it with me. And then, we were together every day for 5 years doing that until the Wall Street guys came in and kind of took us out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you have like your own, brick and mortar store? Is that what it was?
Yeah, we had 3 stores. We had at New Venture Gear. There's a 105,000 square foot indoor grow over there and manufacturing facility. Still there.
Wow.
Yeah, they still operate. It's funny because I like to think about kind of impact on the community. Like Dennis and I would talk about it all the time. And how many new businesses have spawned up in central New York and created, I just created another 70 jobs. We have 70 union workers at our facility currently, right? And it's like, how many businesses are spawning that type of job growth and everything? And no press. Nobody's interested in it. Like when we first opened the New Venture Gear facility, I think we started with like 40 people. I don't know how many they have now, but if you put those 2 businesses together, I bet you I've made 150 jobs, 200 jobs in central New York that are all really well paying, all union, like no press, no publicity.
Why do you think
no
that is?
fanfare? I don't know. I'm not sure.
Because it's cannabis, marijuana. It still has a negative connotation to it. People don't want to push that out.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. No real local political support. I'm the president of our trade association, so Manufacturers and Processor Association in New York, and I do all the lobbying. So I'm in Albany pretty much every other week during session. I have a really great lobbyist that I work with. I work really well with a lot of the other brands and folks in the industry, and I spend a lot of time with politicians. And now we're getting some traction here, but for the longest time, for like the last 8 years or so, no local politician like heavy support.
They didn't want to hear it.
No.
That's crazy.
No, Mannion was pretty good.
Johnny teacher.
Yeah, Ryan's great. Actually, he was my 7th grade teacher at CBA.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
okay. So he must have came over to West Johnny pretty soon after
Life Science, I think he was.
Yeah.
Yeah, John's a good guy. And we get, Sturpey's always been very supportive. But yeah, everyone else is kind of like hit or miss.
Yeah.
I think just because they didn't want to have they didn't know how to address it, right? Like it was this.
They agreed
taboo.
with you on a personal level, but
I
think publicly having the one who's pushing these type of actions for marijuana and pro marijuana can, maybe have some backlash that they didn't want.
Yeah, but
I believe now it's like,
now everybody's in support. Yeah, it's fine. But I believe in accountability, so like I call bullshit on these guys when they don't. Well, like later when they come back and they're like, well, would you like to donate? I'm like, no, what'd you do? No.
Yeah. And when did the science come out that it clearly is not, it's a plant, right? Yeah. But like, it's not, yes, it can be dangerous in very specific circumstances, I guess. But compared to any, alcohol, like, come on, why is this even a conversation? It was infuriating.
There's not a single documented case of somebody overdosing on cannabis.
Well, exactly.
Look, I'm not a heavy cannabis user actually. I'll use it here and there. I do like the lemonades, but like I'm not going to drink a sugar laden heavy product, right? Like sugar free is the way to go. Yeah. So that's why we made these. We made these because this is what I wanted. And so like these are really good, but like I don't smoke anymore. I got kids. Like I'm not gonna go home smelling like I just smoked a joint, right? Like I just don't have like it doesn't fit in my lifestyle right now. But the beverages really do. But I still like a glass of Woodford. I'll still drink a margarita. But I think that a lot of people that overindulge in alcohol, like that'll kill you, right? Yep. That like rots you from the inside out. Whereas, people that start to build a tolerance with cannabis, there has been no shown negative side of impact on people's lives. So,
it can make you have a religious experience, but you wake
sure.
up the next day and you're fine.
Yeah. Our production manager ate like 500 or what was it, 800 milligrams once. And he's like, that's the first time I really was put down. And I'm like, 800 milligrams, then I would probably die. I don't think I could handle 800 milligrams.
We used to, when I was right out of college, we'd make like cookies and brownies. There's no access really to anything. There's no dispensaries around, so we'd have to kind of make it. And we'd like to eat like a little bit of a cookie before going out. It just made you a little more content. You didn't have to drink a million beers, right? You're kind of goofy. You're having fun. So one Friday I was making them. I didn't even eat one. I was just kind of licking my fingers, licking the spoon. I had no idea how much I was even putting in really. And then my buddy's like, oh, I want to go to Wegmans, grab some beers before we go out. Sure, it's Friday night. And middle of Wegmans, it just like hit me.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, right foot,
I
left foot, right. But yeah. And then we get in the car and I'm like, dude, I'm sorry. I'm like very high right now. He's like, I was going to say, just stop talking. He was confused. We get home. I couldn't even watch TV. I just went to bed. It was like 8:45 p.m.
Yeah.
Wake up the next day, 6 a.m., feel like $1 million, go to the gym, have a very productive Saturday. I'm like, if I did that with alcohol, I'd be out for the whole weekend.
Yeah, 2 days.
Yeah.
You'd be down for 2 days.
And so it's like just shows. I mean, like that was way more than I would ever done again, but I still woke up completely fine.
Yeah. What's funny now is people still have those memories, and there are people that won't use cannabis because they remember consuming too much of it and really didn't like that feeling. I generally encourage people now with like controlled products, like our gummy. We have our own lab. We have a quality control lab over there, the PhD that runs it, right? Like all he does is analyze our products and our consistency. Like if you eat one of our gummies, every time you eat one, it's the same every single time. It's like, I think we are between 4.9995 milligrams and 5.0005 milligrams every single time. So it's like the consistency is there now. So you know what your tolerance is. It's beginning to shape itself more like alcohol, right? You know how many drinks you can have.
Yeah.
Right. And that's long been an issue for the cannabis industry is like, how much can I really consume before every single time is different. Every flower is different terpene profiles affect me differently. But now I think with some of these products, you're like, all right, I can titrate my own dose pretty effectively. So
yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. Cause I remember in like 2015 when Colorado just legalized it, went to a dispensary. I bought like these mints. I was popping them like Skittles. They were 5 milligrams. I took, 4 or 5. I felt a little relaxed, but I didn't even really feel that high. The next, this was, we were coaching lacrosse tournaments up there. The next year we go up and they're like, oh, a gummy. She's like, yeah, 10 milligrams. That's the suggested dose. I'm like, okay. And I pop one. Yeah, I'm sitting at dinner with like the parents and I am
to the moon.
I was pretty high. It was not comfortable at all. And I'm like, I can't believe, she just said, yeah, no, that's what everyone does.
Yeah.
Like, why would she not be like, hey, start with half? But also I'm like, I was eating, 20, 30 milligrams of these mints, no problem. And then I have one 10 milligram gummy and it knocks me on my butt.
Those weren't, that wasn't the right dose on this. Yeah.
But to your point, I think, a lot of people, they're scared, right? It's not fun to have those experiences when you're in it and you're too high.
No.
But I think when you can find that right dose, right? I mean, I'm not saying it is for everyone, but it's probably for a lot more people, and it can maybe save them from drinking alcohol or something other escape that they have. Yeah. That would be much more safer, make them feel better, and be part of a healthy lifestyle.
And I always tell people start low and slow. And edibles affect people much differently than smoking, right? A lot of people don't really understand the mechanics of how your body actually deals with it. When you metabolize THC, you're actually converting it to a whole totally different product, different chemical in your system, which is 11-hydroxy.
Yep.
I'm super sensitive to it, right? But I know people that they'll just eat gummies, drinks all night, and they don't even get high.
I've seen people eat like 100 milligrams. I'm like, how?
Yeah, it's because they're not susceptible to 11-hydroxy, really, right? Whereas if they smoke a joint, right, they're getting just pure THC, they're going to be really high. So it definitely affects people differently.
Yeah.
So I always tell people, slow. Eat half a gummy to start. Give it an hour, see how you feel before you eat another one.
Yeah, that's sound advice. But let's go back. So you were, you started this medical. So what was it? It was 3 different stores.
Yeah, we got 4 medical stores.
Okay.
We opened 3 while I was there. We didn't get the 4th one open. We had one in Farmingdale on Long
Oh,
Island,
okay.
one in Buffalo.
Nassau County.
Yeah, one in Middletown.
Oh,
So,
all right,
yeah.
right up north of the city there.
Yeah.
Okay. And you said you had some success with it.
Yeah.
And until
it was like right at the beginning. So we were very early stage.
Because you were one of the first ones. Was that a big part of it?
Yeah, and it was the medical program was pretty well mismanaged. It wasn't proactively managed the way it should have been. So you had patients in a situation where they had to travel 2 hours to get their medicine. Well, what does that do? It just drives people to the black market,
They're
right?
just gonna get it from
You can go to the bodega
buddy's
and get
cousin.
it, right?
Yeah.
And that's still the case in some areas, but we've seen the last 3 years, we went even the adult use market. If you look at the way the market progressed or matured, you had 20 stores the first year, right? There was only like 3 brands that were making any money or could make any money. The next year, which was 24, you had 40 stores through like August. And then they started opening new stores. But by the end of the year, there was not that many stores. It wasn't until last year was our first real year in the program, and so like for a business like ours, we're fairly big, right? We've got a 90,000 square foot greenhouse with supplemental light and blackout and everything controls. It's very beautiful facility. I think we probably grow some of the best flower in the state right now, as evident by our win at the High Times Cup.
Congratulations.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
That's the winner right here.
Yeah,
Are they both the winners?
So this one, this is the best sugar-free beverage. We were number 2 overall in the beverage category, and our sour diesel pre-rolls was number 3. But that one is actually, I think, a better win because everybody entered that category, right?
Everyone has a pre-roll.
And it was super nice packaging, glass tips, ceramic tips, like just over the top, everything. Wooden tips with like bamboo and this and that. And when you open that, you'll see, I mean, it's a paper filter with our logo on it, but it's just really good weed. And so that's why we won. We won strictly on the basis of the product quality, not all the frills, right?
Yeah.
So that one actually to me was a pretty big upset. I'm shocked that we won that.
Who judges that?
The people. So it's like a People's Choice Award.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a good way to do it.
Now look, some of the brands were going out and buying the kits and entering their own name. Like I get it. We didn't do that because I really wanted it to be, I'm like hoping it's a real People's Choice thing, but I think it was 300 different packets went out. You actually had to, as a consumer, go buy it from a dispensary, and they were spread all over the state. So you'd have to go buy it, and then you had to fill out the card for every single product and rank them.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it's kind of
daunting task.
I was gonna say, especially after you smoke
one, you're 40 pre-rolls. You're like, Yeah,
I mean, you had to kind of spread that out a little bit, I would imagine.
Yeah, and then you had the infused one, and you had the gummy. So they were all different categories. So you could buy just the kit that you were interested in too, which was kind of cool. So, but it was neat. The award ceremony was cool. High Times is like the preeminent, I guess, purveyor of cannabis literature in the world,
it's
right?
Like the New York Times
magazine,
of
everything.
Cannabis.
It is, yeah. And the CEO or the guy that owns Raw Papers bought High Times a few years ago and has really been trying to step into making it even more impactful on the culture of cannabis. So, and he's like very much about, the people are going to tell us what the best products are. We don't need some judges. We want like the real people. So I thought that was really cool that they did that here in New York.
That is super cool.
Yeah.
This episode is brought to you by Renewal by Andersen of Central New York, the #1 window and door company in America. Winter is coming, and there's no better time to upgrade. Their energy efficient windows keep warm in, the cold out, and your energy bills low. Schedule your free consultation today by clicking the link in the show notes. Do you think the people's palate is becoming more sophisticated with marijuana?
There's a ton of misinformation. Everybody thinks, indica sativa. Oh yeah, everybody thinks indica sativa hybrid. That's the way people
indica in the couch.
yeah. And like the reality is, there's not a lot of true purebred indica or sativas left. Everything is sort of a hybrid. Everything has been bred so much that you're looking for certain traits, and they breed them that way. But then they end up being either a sativa leaning or indica leaning. Now we have some plants that are if you go and you Google the name of the genetic, it says sativa all day long. And I'm like, that's an indica. Like the way it grows, the way the effect, the terpene profile, everything. I think what the general public needs to get better at is it's not all about THC content. Okay. THC is not the most important factor in your experience with cannabis. Just because it says, I mean, ours are very high, but that's how we've been growing. What's more important, I think, is actually the terpene profile and ratio to the effect you're trying to get. So doing a deep dive on and understanding what terpenes actually affect you best is critical. And we haven't gotten there yet as the consumer hasn't gotten all the way there yet, but they will. I mean, I know people that are like, oh, I smoked a 36% THC joint. I barely got high, or I got high for 20 minutes. And then you smoke our 18% Mount Citrus that's got, I think the last test was like 6% terpenes, and you're on the moon for 5 hours, right? Like and a much better effect overall. So the consumer's getting there.
Is there a way to like test that? Like, it's not medically really, because especially if it's just for your own personal use, but like, is there a way just to like take a little blood sample? Hey, this is going to be the best terpene makeup for you? Or, I mean,
I think you got to try them to figure it out. But we list terpene profile on our packaging, and you can go and scan the QR code and it'll tell you the exact breakdown of how many terpenes and what they are in each product that we make.
It's like being a little more aware of what you're intaking.
Yeah. And you should be able to rely on your local dispensary. Your bud tender should be able to give a nice recommendation. The problem is in New York, we got to a point where the bud tenders were the path to the customer. And so a lot of the brands that came in from out of state that had a lot of money were able to influence the bud tenders.
Kind of like pharmaceutical sales.
They're not supposed to do that. Yeah. They're not supposed to do that, but they definitely do. And so what I have found now is, as the consumers are getting a little more sophisticated, if they go into a bud tender and they recommend something that they know is trash, but just it's a big name, or they recommend something and they try it and it's terrible, the next time they come back, they won't trust the bud tenders. And so we've seen a little bit of evolution from...
Or they won't come back.
Right. Or they'll go to a different dispensary or whatever. But we've moved from this system where I would say the consumer is heavily reliant on the bud tender to now the consumer is beginning to do their own research and get wiser and hipper to what they want, which is good for New York growers. We grow great weed in New York. Like, that's the thing that we discount. The last couple of years, the consumers haven't really been able to see that because we've had so much illegal product coming into the market. Like Oklahoma, they just seized $1.5 billion in product last week, and shut down this huge like Chinese mob run syndicate for illegal cannabis. Now, so we know
I didn't realize they're making that big a bust still with it being so legal in so many states.
It's actually ramped up.
Yeah,
Ohio's doing some things.
Yeah,
this particular one, we all knew in the industry. If you're in the market, all this illegal product's been coming in Oklahoma, Michigan, out west. It's coming in. There's people putting their license number on it and they're selling it into the regulated market. And last year, for example, there was no ability to grow indoor until just recently. So when you see the weed in a jar and you're like, wow, that's really nice indoor weed. Like, if and you're like, that's not from New York.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, our New York farmers who need the money to reinvest into their businesses to grow better weed have had no investment because people aren't buying that outdoor weed because it doesn't look as good or the THC is not as high because they're competing with product coming in from a sophisticated market.
Yeah.
So that's been our biggest obstacle, quite frankly.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the reason I kind of asked about the sophistication of the palate of an individual is because I have a cousin who lives in Humboldt County. He's been there for at least 15 years. My brother lived there for a while too. And I've actually been out there. And for those who don't know the story of Humboldt County, it was kind of the marijuana capital of the United States for a while. It was supplying like something like 80% of the United States weed through like the 70s, 80s, 90s. And the reason why it was grown illegally there, but it's in the redwood forest, and it's kind of got these peaks and valleys, and they had all these small grows back on these like windy private roads. And I don't think California ever did a whole lot, but the feds would try to come in. It was a terrain that was hard to even see what they were doing. It looked like these little farms. So that's why they had all these small grows, but they're able to supply a lot of the country. And they call it the green rush, right? And, even towards their tail end, I mean, granted, it was illegal at some, during this time, but it was like people were making hundreds of thousands of dollars just going out there and starting these small
Oh
grows.
yeah.
And so a lot of people were starting to go out there. And then as it starts to become legalized, or there's a path to legalization, even, medically, then things starting to loosen up. And then all of a sudden they had the more traditional criminals coming out and not really caring, not keeping it small, not being safe, just doing kind of like what you're saying. It's actually, it ended up getting worse.
Yeah.
And so he's been there, and obviously it's been recreationally legal for a while. And we had a conversation of like, Humboldt weed is still very good marijuana, right? Yeah. And it's a brand. A lot of people have heard about it, especially if they're familiar with cannabis. When is that going to become popular? Where it's like, hey, I like, this certain brewery, right? Like a microbrew.
Yeah.
Like I like, this type of IPA. Like instead of just the Budweiser, whatever's in front of me, whatever's available at the bar, right? Are we there yet with marijuana?
So I think that's where we are now, is where you've always had these big breweries, shoving Bud Light down your throat.
Exactly. He's like, when is Humboldt coming back to be this kind of special, niche?
I think it's going to be, it will still be small. It will still be micro. But, like Humboldt's an interesting one, because I actually think Humboldt is more similar to the wine culture, because there you have a unique set of, precipitation, soil, right, sun, because they're all on those south facing hills. It's they have a different
climate is
they have a really, they're like almost perfected for it.
Yeah.
And I think the soil has a lot to do with it, right? Like you see the wine guys go out and they taste the dirt and they're like, oh, it's going to convey to the grape, right? But
I mean, have a California cab and you know why.
Old world,
New York's
right?
cab.
yeah, exactly. And I think that actually like New York's like wine thing, I think it's maturing, right? But you're competing with old world vines that have been growing in the same area with amendment and everything else for years. I think the same thing will happen with cannabis. Like you're going to have, you already have like underground growers that are known for producing really high quality product that sell in the gray market or whatever. I think some of them are trying to transition to legal.
Gray market, is that like?
So gray market's not quite
the black market.
Not quite the black market, the gray market. What we're seeing with that is the transition is difficult, because all of a sudden you've got to test for pesticides and fertilize and residual chemicals. And like, so now all of a sudden there's a standard. You can't have, powdery mildew or mold or any of these impurities in your product, which we've all been smoking in this stuff that was grown in your buddy's basement for years, that we just had no idea we were doing it because we didn't know what they were using, and now we do. And so like some of that really crazy looking weed like is probably not consumable under like a health standard. But I think what you're finding is like there's some guys actually locally here, the Taproot guys out there in Skinny Atlas.
Okay. Yeah.
They do their entire system is living soil. Like if you look at their weed, it's getting better and better and better. And, you'll hear there's lots of different schools of thought. Like I can't do living soil. I think it would be cool, but at our scale, there's no way we could do it.
Yeah.
But they're going to turn out, I think, amazing weed for a very long time. But
a smaller operation is what you're saying?
Yeah, it's a smaller operation.
Yeah.
They just open a store in Skinny Atlas.
Okay.
But their product looks great. Like it looks really good, and it's early. And so like I always tell people, you need a couple years to really develop, especially like a living soil system. It needs time because it's actually alive, right? They're putting stuff in the soil. There's other stuff growing in with it, and there's bugs in there, and it like makes the soil better and better over time. So, theirs is just going to continue to get better. Huge investment, a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of effort. But that's like, you'll start seeing those types of people where people will go there just to buy their weed, just to seek it out. Yeah. Like you have some of these microbreweries.
Yeah, like
right?
Treehouse, I think.
Oh, yeah,
right?
Yeah.
They just opened one in Saratoga, but you used to have to go to Massachusetts.
Yeah.
That's like everyone, they didn't distribute anywhere. You had to buy it there, right? So everyone's leaving with these cases.
Hetty Topper.
Yeah, Hetty Topper for a while. Yeah, they were one of the first ones.
Psychopaths would be sleeping in their car out front of the brewery. But yeah, I think you're going to start to see that. And the market needs to understand supply chain constraints, right? Like we've been living in a market in New York where we're bringing all this illegal weed in. And so you never run out, because they would call it whatever. Like if the strain name was selling, they'd put whatever in the bag and sell it. And so, but now what we're starting to see is, so they just put into this new platform, seed to sale tracking system went into effect on the first of the year. It's called Metric, and it's something that it's a love-hate thing with the industry.
Wait,
so,
is that the tag you were talking about? And
yeah.
I saw that social post. That's so funny that
the forever
they're
tag.
making us use these biodegradable bags with this forever tag on there. It's like,
and I've been
that was like one of the things I wanted to ask you. I'm like, something like that, like, has there been a lot of, just mismanaged, just kind of things coming from the state that you're like, this doesn't even make sense?
Yeah, we have tried engaging, us as the industry have tried engaging with the state over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. I still do. I actually have a meeting with them this week, and all we do is try to convey to them, like, can I swear on this thing? Like, how to not fuck it up, right? Because they just constantly fuck it up. Everything they like, I don't know where they get some of their ideas, but some of the ideas come to them and they will implement something, and it's like, you have no idea how this actually translates downstream, right? So I've been a huge proponent of seed to sale tracking. Seed to sale tracking has been my number one thing because that inverted product really bastardizes the market. It kills the small farmer. It kills consumer confidence.
Explain exactly what that is.
Yeah, so that's like the stuff coming in from Oklahoma that I was talking about.
Yes,
so
you
product
know
comes
exactly
in,
where it's from is what you're saying?
Yeah, so we do now because they've tested for it. And now the OCM knows where it's coming from. The action of bringing illegal product into the state essentially robs all of the actual operators in New York from getting to market, because these guys come in with so much money and so much volume that they flood the market. Prices drop. The farmers aren't getting paid. They're sitting on inventory. They can't move their inventory because it can't quite hold up to the standard of these big indoor grows in Oklahoma. And so it's just detrimental to the market overall. So as of the first of the year, though, that has really stopped. So Metric is a seed to sale tracking program, which every single plant, like if you go over to our facility right now, I think we're sitting on, I think yesterday we were like 12 or 14,000 plants in the building. And there's these tags on every single plant. So I now know every single plant. When we harvest that plant, I know where that plant was combined with these other plants. I know where they went either into a flour bag, into a pre-roll, whether they were made into rosin or hash. Like, I know where every single plant goes. So now, even if, and I've been telling the OCM, like, you're not going to stop inversion. But what you have done is now you've got the farmers that have been doing this illegal process of bringing in this product. Now they've got to grow the plant because they've got to generate a tag. They got to grow a plant. So they're going to grow these plants outdoors. Then they're just going to kill them all. And they're going to bring in the corresponding flour, reattach the tags. Now that's the only crime that we're dealing with, as opposed to them so that's 2,000 pounds, 4,000 pounds maybe is what they can grow outdoors. But they're not going to be bringing 20,000 pounds in because that's a red flag.
Yeah.
So at least we've limited now the amount that's going to come into the system. In January, we saw almost a doubling in our sales, because all of a sudden the inventory that's in the system is starting to work its way out. So this year is going to be just a phenomenal year for the industry.
For New York growers.
Oh, yeah. So from 24, which I consider kind of like a half-assed year, to 25, we doubled sales in 25 over 24. This year, I expect to triple again.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and like, we have the capacity, we have the infrastructure, we have the systems. So like, we're going to be able to do that. Now, smaller guys are going to have a harder time keeping up. But if they're selling out, isn't that a good thing?
I just say,
it's great.
Keeping up rather than sitting on inventory.
Yeah, absolutely. I have guys,
which was an issue. I remember Tim Spillett at Flintstone.
Tim.
Yeah. The GM over there is saying, like, the state is saying there's going to be X amount of dispensaries, so all these farmers are preparing, and they're just way behind. They're not issuing, these permits.
Yeah.
And so all these farmers are just sitting on all this inventory. And he's like, half the time we're just paying them just so they can stay, afloat, so we don't lose them. And it was like, that was one of the things. That's why I wanted to ask about, like, how often are things mismanaged? I was starting to figure it out on a state level. Sounds like you're still having some frustrations.
They have some pretty good people there. They don't release data. They hide everything, which really pisses me off, because I have meetings with them specifically to say, give me data, because I've been doing this for 12 years now. We've done this. I've done this in multiple markets. I have licenses in other states. We know how to analyze the data to tell you what we should end up with, right? If you take and this was my meeting with the OCM the other day, I said, if you take the top 10 vape brands in New York right now, just the top 10, right? And mind you, there's 100 vape brands in New York right now. If you take the top 10, we need 800,000 pounds of biomass this year alone to satisfy those 10 guys if they have no growth this year. And they're talking about doubling the number of stores. So the volume is going to probably double.
Yeah.
We didn't grow 800,000 pounds of biomass last year, right? So
the state, you're saying?
Yeah, in the whole state. So, and the state is unwilling to give out those numbers. So we can't even validate how much illegal product really came in. But if we in fact shut down the illicit market, which it feels like now, we have to now go and grow more.
Yeah, but you want the numbers to know, okay, what's too much, what's not enough.
Why would we let them all go in with no data and say, hey guys, this is roughly how much we're going to use this year?
Good luck. Yeah.
Yeah. So this year, I guarantee you, this year, come fall, we're going to have a deficit of product. We're going to run out of product. New York's program will be short product at the end of this year.
Yeah.
And what's that going to do? Prices are going to go up, right? Because now demand is exceeding the supply. So prices will go up probably where they should be, which is okay. But then some of those consumers are going to what? They're going to go back to the gray market. Mm-hmm. You have this weird balance that I think that they are trying to figure out, but I think there's just too many cooks in the kitchen over there sometimes. Sometimes I'm like, enforcement doesn't know what, another department's doing, and they don't know what these, like, it's.
Do you ever see them figuring it out? Like, is there always going to be kind of I mean, it's been rolled out. I mean, how long has it been legal in New York? 2 years?
Yeah, it's been about 2 years.
You think in 5 years, by that time, it'll be more consistent. It'll be where,
Well, the fear then is then do all the big guys come in from other states and buy out the struggling ones because they're so desperate they need to do something. And then now it's not a New York program anymore. So the program was originally set up to help small farmers and Black and brown communities. But if all of a sudden they're all selling out because they can't afford to be in the program, did that really accomplish the end goal? Right.
Yeah.
Just like the sustainability thing, like you said, the metric tag, right? Like we're supposed to all be using PCR compliant packaging, like biodegradable this and sustainable that. And then they come out and they tell us to put a plastic tag on that type of packaging. Makes no sense. I am surprised. I'm a little surprised. There has been a bunch of lawsuits here and there against the state. I'm shocked there hasn't been more. Like, I'll say that. I'm shocked. I think the only real positive we have going right now is the Assembly and the Senate have been very supportive of us this year. The last few years, I think there's been so much uncertainty and infighting in different groups. This year, we kind of have an industry unified voice. And I think that unified voice is resonating with the Assembly and the Senate. I think the governor kind of hears us. So I think we're going to see some really interesting legislative things this year that'll be very beneficial to the industry. So maybe they would listen to us. I keep saying, put an advisory board together.
Yeah.
Let a couple of us take a couple processors, take me and Mac from Heirloom and put us on a board to advise the OCM how they should be doing things. We're both compliant. We both have a lot of employees. We both have, a lot of good products in the market. We both do things the right way. Yeah. Let us help, put some farmers on there, put some retailers on there, put some distributors on there, and just have a coalition of voices in the industry before you make a change that impacts us all. Yeah. Run it by us. We'll tell you if it'll work. Yeah.
Yeah,
we want a compliant
together.
And we want a compliant market. That's the thing. It's they have this very much this us versus them mentality. And it's we're all in this together, including you, Office of Cannabis Management. Work with us. We can help each other get to a very viable, successful program. Yeah. It is probably the biggest cannabis market in the world. I know California
really
and Florida probably would be, but New York is the consumer base here. Consumption per capita in New York is very high.
Well, also it's recreationally legal to be able to step outside of a bar and smoke a joint.
Yeah.
I want to say you can't do that in most states, right? Even where it is recreationally legal, they don't allow you maybe on the sidewalk or public or whatever the case.
Yeah, there's ordinances distances from doorways and things like that. Yeah. But
pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, New York does smell like a bong. I don't know.
How many times I walk into Wegmans sometimes, I'm like, man, I just every time I walk in here, I smell like someone smoking.
That's the Instacart drivers. Just getting baked. We had someone drop food off the other day and the bag came in and there was smoke coming out of the top of the bag. I was like, this guy smoking a fresh blunt. Yeah, this is a fresh blunt on the delivery.
Real quick, just go through, you have all these tags on your Instagram, Central Processors of New York, High Peaks, Generic AF, Zong Chocolate. Are these all just Explain what each one is.
So Central Processors is the actual licensed entity. That's the manufacturing and grow facilities.
Okay.
So that's, kind of that's the actual who does all the work. And then the brands are High Peaks, which is kind of like our premier brand. We have what was generic AF that's shifting a little bit to just AF, different versions of AF. It was meant to be ironic, but some people don't get the irony. I was like, it's generic as fuck. Like it's meant to be ironic and fun. But some of the stores don't get it. So we're going to shift the name a little bit. It does very, very well. It's a budget friendly, no frills gummy line, really is how it started. Now we're doing some other products in it, but it's probably the cheapest, highest quality gummy you can get in the market. Like whenever somebody's, I don't know about the name, I don't know about the packaging, I'm like, try it. If you don't think it's the best gummy that you've ever had, then don't buy them, right? And pretty much anytime I challenge a dispensary owner on that, they bring them in.
Nice.
Because it was developed by the same person that developed the Jolly Rancher gummy for Hershey. So it's like a great gummy. It's actually a really good candy. It just happens to be infused. You can't tell. Like a lot of them, you get that bitterness on the tongue. You're like, oh, okay, let me choke this down. These are dangerous because you can eat them. They're good.
Yeah.
So, and then Zonk is our chocolate confectionery line. We pulled that last year. We're going to relaunch it at some point. And then we have a new brand that we're just starting to tease, which is Mayhem, which is like 2 gram vapes, bigger, 100 milligram chocolates, 100 milligram gummies, really for your connoisseur or your, I would say, higher tolerance folks that are looking for, an alternative to eating an entire bag of gummies.
Yeah.
So
what do you see as the most popular now? Is it flour? Is it drinks? Is it gummies? Is it chocolate? And do you think that'll change over time?
Yeah, loaded question, right? So right now, I think beverage is like 1%, or it's like a very small single-digit percentage of the market.
Is that because there's not a lot of them?
Yeah, I mean, there's not a lot, and it's low margin, and it's high barrier of entry. So I bought a brewery to make our own. We launched, it went very well. So we went and found our own ability to can. And we're moving, we move more units of 50% of our actual unit volume now is beverage. But it only accounts for like 20% of our revenue because you don't make a ton of money per can, right?
Yeah.
And then with the new metric stuff, it increased my cost 43 cents per can to have the metric ID on here.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because now every single QR code printed on the can has to be different.
So every can.
Yeah, so I can't. Before we were doing, I would do 30,000 units. So we'd do 30,000 cans out of one big batch, and it had one QR code for that batch in case you had to do a recall, right? Public safety stuff. Now every individual can. It's stupid. That's one of the things we're fighting Metric on because they charge you 10 cents for every one of those.
Jeez.
Yeah, which is a scam.
Yeah.
It's nowhere in the law. It's nowhere in the regulations. It's a money grab by Metric. It's bullshit. So we're trying, myself and a bunch of other industry folks are trying to get rid of that now. And I think we'll be successful. But by, revenue, it's definitely, gummies, flour, and pre-rolls are preeminent in terms of, the ability to actually make money.
More than vapes? Well, make money's different than, I guess, what's more commonly used. Because just think of a vape, like
vape's number one now.
Yeah, so you do it anywhere. Like people are doing
Yeah.
movie theaters. It's like,
yeah, vape is definitely number one for ease of use in New York. That's not the same in every state, but vape is definitely, it's just so easy, right?
Exactly.
And you don't smell afterwards.
Yeah, but it's a big thing, right? When you have kids, you're around people, like you don't want to, as much as like some people don't mind the smell. It's a strong, potent smell.
Long term, I think beverage ends up being categorically different and viewed different and probably managed differently by regulation than all the other cannabis products. This is going to eventually make its way into the mainstream beverage category. Last thing I heard was the liquor industry believes that 30% of adult beverages will be cannabis-based beverages in the next 5 to 7 years. That's a whole different game. That's a whole different platform. I think that's going to be huge. I know there's a bill going in that I've been helping on that would allow our THC beverages up to 5 milligrams to be sold in like liquor stores. So that would be an interesting one. Again, would change the game, right? There's 3,400 liquor stores in the state. Low dose THC. We've had some pushback from some of the dispensary owners, but the way I explained it to them is this is the entry, right? Like if they tried at a liquor store and they like it and they move away from liquor into cannabis, their next logical step is dispensary.
Yeah.
So like,
they're not just going to go to the liquor store for all their cannabis needs.
Correct. Don't think about it as a bad thing. Think about it as a good thing for the market. So, but I think this is where the future lies in, large scale cannabis consumption is going to be in beverage.
Awesome. What about the Fireball? I saw that.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. What is that just like
it's
THC infused?
I should have brought you one. I forgot. I'm sorry. It tastes just like Fireball. I'll bring
it. Looks like, I mean, I
tastes just like it. Even has the burn at the end. They put in some capsaicin to give it just a little fire at the end.
Just to bring it back. Right?
Yeah. It is not the traditional High Peaks product where we're focused on like zero sugar and health. That one is just for fun. It's a good time. We've got a, the Crown Apple whiskey.
Oh yeah.
So that's next. That's all done. It's being bottled, I think, relatively soon. So we'll do that. We'll launch different liquor versions of stuff here over time.
Fun. Yeah, that's cool.
And just because it's fun. Yeah, we're working with a very large wine company, probably the #1 wine name in the world. We're going to be doing a canned sparkling wine and rosé infused, non-alcoholic infused.
I was just gonna say, you can't really cross, can you?
You can't cross. Legally. And the traditional NA has liquor in it. It still has alcohol in it, right? Like if you look at like what is it, like the NA from, I don't think Heineken's is actually 0, but
they put 0.
A lot of them are like,
can.
A
slight,
0.2, right?
Kombucha has a tiny bit,
correct.
So there's still.
So those will not be allowed to have any infusion, but if you can get a true 0% alcohol, which there are like 3 companies that can do it with beer, like Boston Beer does it. Athletic, right?
Oh, Athletic Brew,
they do it, which actually is a great beer.
Yeah, no, it is
with no alcohol in it.
Yeah.
I would love to work with them because I actually like their product. But you could infuse something like that, and you could infuse this wine because it has no alcohol in it. So that's something we're working on right now. Like that one could be a killer.
Do you think there'll ever be a time, or do you think it would even make sense to kind of cross alcohol and THC in one beverage?
Not really. I mean, you could call it crossfade, but it's basically for
have
local.
A beer and smoke a joint, though, so it's like...
Yeah, people like to crossfade, right?
Yeah.
It's a very personalized experience, though, because if you go too far on either one, you're in trouble.
Yeah, I just almost think like, right, if you're sipping on something... I don't know. I guess handle responsibly.
Yeah. I mean, I think you should just add THC to the Four Locos and like really just let's wine people up and see how they fare. But no, I don't think it will be because I think the TTB will continue to regulate alcohol. I think in New York you're going to see SLA likely come in and be somewhat involved in the cannabis stuff, and that will also ease the beverage transition into mainstream a little bit more. So that's a good thing for us. Good thing for the market.
Cool. John, appreciate you coming on, man. Yeah, this was awesome. Kind of sharing your story, sharing everything going on in the cannabis world.
Yeah.
And we'll have you on again soon. Next big reveal.
Appreciate it. Next
time
we'll do it in the canopy
awards as well. Yeah, absolutely.